Math is one of the subjects most students find it difficult to pass. This video will help you to understand mathematics better, and it will also help you to pass your core maths with ease. We are going to consider trig, that is trigonometry, as our first topic. And at this topic, I will take you through how to find unknown sides, unknown angles of a given triangle, be it a compound figure or just a simple right angle triangle. After that, I'll also take you through the applications of trig, where we look at angle of elevation and angle of depression. Now let's consider this circle. I will divide the circle into 4 equal parts. Each part is known as a quadrant. So we have quadrant. This will be the first quadrant. We have second, third, and fourth. One thing about trig is this: all angles are being measured from the x-axis in the anti-clockwise direction. I'm repeating, angles are measured from the positive x-axis, this line. Then you move in the anti-clockwise direction. So this will be your first quadrant. When it comes to trig, this becomes second, third, and what? Fourth. In the case of bearing, angles are being measured from the positive y-axis in the clockwise direction. So the opposite of trigonometry will give you bearing. Now let's consider this as vector OP. Vector OP. Then the angle that the vector makes with the x-axis is represented by theta. Don't forget this, I told you angles are being measured from the positive x-axis. This is the positive x-axis in the anti-clockwise direction. So this should be the direction when measuring the angle. And 2, we are interested in the angles that are being measured with reference to the x-axis, with reference to the horizontal line, not the y-axis. We are going to consider this angle, not the angle this vector makes with the y-axis. If it is bearing, then we take angles that are measured with reference to the vertical axis. But in the case of trig, angles are being taken or are measured with reference to the x-axis. We are going to take this angle theta. Now let's extrapolate this line to enclose this, to give us a right angle triangle. So I have y and x. Let's take this to be point A. Then this, let's make it R. Now let's take second triangle POA. And this is how it looks like. We have point P, point O, and point A. This is the angle theta. Line PA is given by Y. Line OA is represented by X. And line OP is represented by R. Under trig, we have different trig ratios. We have sine, cos, tan. We also have cot. We have sec and cosec. These are the trig ratios that we have. But in the case of core maths, we consider only 3, that is sine, cos, and tan. And we term them as the basic trig ratio. We can write the remaining trig ratio in terms of the basic trig ratio. For the case of those doing elective maths, cot is the same as 1 over tan of an angle. Sec is the same as 1 over cos of an angle. And cosec is the same as 1 over sine of an angle. But for core maths, from the syllabus, you are supposed to know only the basic trig ratios, which are sine, cos, and what? Tan. Now let's go back to our triangle POA. From this mnemonics, this is something that you've been taught way back from primary. Anytime you want to find sine of a given angle, you need opposite and hypotenuse. The O represents opposite, H represents hypotenuse. The A represents adjacent. So for you to get sine of any given angle, you need opposite over hypotenuse. So this is opposite sine of any given angle is opposite over hypotenuse. Cos of any given angle is adjacent over hypotenuse. And tan of any given angle is opposite over adjacent. Now let's look at the diagram once again. How can we identify hypotenuse, adjacent and opposite? The easiest way for you to identify hypotenuse is to always look out for this 90-degree symbol. What we know from primary is that the longest side is always the hypotenuse, but that's not the accurate way of identifying hypotenuse. The side which is directly opposite to the 90-degree symbol should be taken as your hypotenuse. So from this diagram, line OP represents hypotenuse, which is what? R. Then how do we identify adjacent and opposite? They have been identified by considering the main angle in the diagram. The main angle here is theta. Wherever this theta faces, that side becomes your opposite. So from this diagram, line PA, which is Y, will serve as the opposite, looking at the position of the angle, theta. Then the remaining side, which is OA, will serve as the adjacent, and that is what? X. I'm going back. For you to identify hypotenuse, always look out for this 90-degree symbol. The side that is directly opposite to this 90-degree symbol will give you hypotenuse. Then for you to get opposite and adjacent, look out for the main angle in the diagram. And the main angle here is theta. So this theta is directly opposite to line PA. So line PA represents opposite. Then the remaining side will be your adjacent. Good. Let's consider another triangle. This. Let's change the position of the theta. Let's put it here. If you place the theta here, then this side becomes your opposite. This becomes adjacent. And this will serve as your hypotenuse. So the position of the main angle helps you to know your opposite and what? Adjacent. Good. Now, how do we write sine theta, cos theta, tan theta using this diagram? Sine theta is opposite over hypotenuse, and from the diagram, our opposite is represented by y, and the hypotenuse is what? R. So we are going to have sine theta to be equal to opposite, which is line PA over line OP. That is opposite over hypotenuse. You are going to have y over r. That is sine theta. Let's get that of cos theta. So cos theta will be adjacent over hypotenuse. And from the diagram, the adjacent is represented by x. Hypotenuse is r. So you are going to have x over r. Then tan theta will be equal to opposite over adjacent. So that is y over x. So this is how to get the expression for the basic trig ratio. Now let's go back to the quadrant. In the first quadrant, x is positive, y is also positive. So anytime you find sine of any given angle which falls within the first quadrant will give you a positive value. In the first quadrant, the angles ranges from 0 up to 90 degrees. So sine of any angle within this range will give you a positive value. Then if you do same for cos and tan, they always give you positive value. Let's move to the second quadrant. In the second quadrant, x is negative and y is what? Positive. So from here, we are going to have sine theta being equal to y, which is positive, over what? R. cos theta will be equal to x, which is negative over r, and tan theta will be equal to y, positive y over negative x. So in the second quadrant, if you find sine of any angle, you get a positive value. If you find cos of any angle in the second quadrant, since x is negative, you get negative value. If you find tan of any angle in the second quadrant, that also gives you a negative what? Value, because x is what? Negative. In the second quadrant, the angles range from 90 up to 180. So if you find sine 120, you get a positive value. Cos 120 will give you negative, and tan 120 also give you negative. So in the second quadrant, it's only sine which is positive. Cos will be negative, and tan will also be negative. Let's move to the third quadrant. In the third quadrant, x is negative and y is also what? Negative. We are going to have sine theta to be equal to negative. Cos will also give us positive, and tan will give us negative. In the third quadrant, you see that x is negative, y is also what? Negative. So we are going to have sine theta, which is y over what? R. But the y is negative, so this will give us negative y over r. Cos theta is x over r. But in the third quadrant, x is negative, so this will give us negative x over r. Then for tan theta, we have y over x. The y is negative, x is also negative. So this will give us a negative value. This also give us negative value. And this will give us negative will cancel. You get what? Positive. So this tells us that in the third quadrant, sine is negative, cos is negative, tan is what? Positive. So anytime you find sine of any angle which falls within the third quadrant, let's assume 270, 250 degrees. Sine of 250 degrees will give you a negative value. Cos of 250 will also give you negative. When you find tan of 250, you get a positive what? Value. So in the first quadrant, sine is positive, cos is positive, tan is what? Positive. In the second quadrant, it's only sine that is positive. Cos and tan will give you negative values. In the third quadrant, it's only tan which is positive. Sine and cos will give you negative. Let's try for the fourth quadrant. In the fourth quadrant, we have x being positive and y is what? Negative. We are going to have sine theta, which is y over what? R. The y is negative in the fourth quadrant, so this will be negative y over r. And we get what? Negative value. Cos theta, which is x over r. The x is positive, so this will give us positive value. Then tan theta, which is y over x, where the y is negative and x is what? Positive. So this will yield a negative value. So this is telling us that in the fourth quadrant, it's only cos that will give you a positive value. The other remaining trig ratio, be it sine and tan, will give you negative value. So if you like try cos 320, you see that you get a positive value. But sine 320 and tan 320, they will all give you negative value. So we have the first quadrant, all the trig ratio are positive. In the second quadrant, it's only sine, which is positive. In the third quadrant, it's only tan, which will give you a positive value. And in the fourth quadrant, it's only cos that will give you a positive value. So the easiest way to memorize this is to use this mnemonics, or silly thumb cat. All means sine, cos, and tan will be positive. Silly means it's only sine that will give you positive value. Thumb means it's only tan that will give you positive value. And cat means only cos that will give you positive. So we've now understood that in the first quadrant, all the basic trig ratio, be it sine, cos, and tan, will give us positive values. Then in the second quadrant, it's only sine that will give you positive value. Cos and tan will give you negative values. Then in the case of the third quadrant, we have only tan that yields a positive value. The remaining trig ratio will give us negative values. Then in the fourth quadrant, it's only cos that yields positive value. So we have this mnemonic, or silly thumb cat. So here we have sine being positive, cos being positive, and tan also giving us positive value. In the second quadrant, it's only sine that is positive, cos will be negative, and tan will also be negative. In the third quadrant, it's only tan that yields a positive value. Cos will give us negative, sine will give us negative. Then in the fourth quadrant, it's only cos that gives positive value. The remaining trig ratio, be it sine, will give you negative, tan will also give you negative. But don't forget, in the first quadrant, angles ranges from 0 up to 90 degrees. So any angle that falls within this range is in the first quadrant. In the second quadrant, it's ranging from 0 up to 180 degrees. In the third quadrant, angles ranging from 0 up to 270 degrees. And in the fourth quadrant, angles ranging from 0 up to 360 degrees. So I want you to try this. Let's take an angle in the first quadrant, something like 36 degrees. I want you to point sine 36, cos 36, tan 36. You find out that all the values will be positive. Then let's look at the second quadrant. Let's take something like 120 degrees. 120 degrees falls within this range, so it is in the second quadrant. And in the second quadrant, it's only sine that gives positive value. So I want you to try sine 120. You say you get positive. Cos 120, that will give you negative. Tan 120 will also give you negative. Let's move to the third quadrant, where tan gives positive value. So we can take angle like 250 degrees. 250 degrees falls within the third quadrant. That is 0 up to 270. So if you point tan 250, you get positive. Cos 250, you get negative. Sine 250, that will give you negative. Then in the fourth quadrant, let's take something like 320, which falls within this range, that's the fourth quadrant. So if you take cos of 320, you get positive. Sine of 320 will give you negative. Tan of 320 will give you negative. Now let's look at how to find the unknown side of a given right angle triangle using the basic trig ratio. But I want to give you this hint. Never forget this. If you want to solve any right angle triangle, you only need the basic trig ratio or Pythagoras theorem. These are the two ways in solving any right angle triangle. It's either you use the basic trig ratio or Pythagoras theorem. We use the basic trig ratio to find unknown sides and unknown angle of any right angle triangle. And we use Pythagoras theorem to only find unknown side of a right angle triangle. So let's look at finding unknown side of a right angle triangle.